Hello everybody, welcome to another What I Watched This Month. This time we are talking about March 2022. This month I watched an awful lot of Batman, both live action and animated, and then I just towards the end of the month, just watched a whole heap of random stuff, which, you're just gonna have to keep watching to find out what it was. I went into all sorts of genres at the end of the month, because, there wasn't a lot of releases that I watched this month. Obviously I watched the Batman, which I have a video about, so if you want to watch that would be really good. Also, if you could like the video, that would be much appreciated. If you could subscribe so that we can hopefully go to 700 subscribers soon enough, that would be really appreciated. That is a big goal of mine this year, 700 subscribers. We just need to get that out of the way so that I can focus on 1k by the end of the year would be amazing. Thank you very much for all the support the channel has gotten recently, by the way. That's really appreciated. Right, let's just go straight into what I watched in March 2022. First things first, I watched Batman Returns. This is not a movie that was as good as I remember it being as a kid. I thought that Danny DeVito's Penguin took the name far too seriously. Like, Penguin's not an actual penguin man. If you like Batman at all, I feel like they took the famous Batman villain Killer Croc and then just made him a penguin and then cast him as Danny DeVito, and that's how we got that version of the Penguin. I thought Michelle Pfeiffer was a very good Catwoman, and I always liked Michael Keaton's Batman, even though he's barely in this movie. There is nowhere near enough Bruce Wayne or Batman in this movie, especially in the first half. Nowhere near enough Batman. I then watched Batman Forever, and the sets in this movie are gorgeous. They're so well lit. It's an amazing looking movie, but fuck me, it's bad. Jim Carrey is a ridiculous Riddler. He is so over the top, and it's definitely the worst live action performance of Riddler, and I am including Batman 66 in that. 100% the worst. I like Jim Carrey as well. I think he's a very good actor. He's even a very good serious actor on occasion, but I really did not like his performance as Riddler, and Tommy Lee Jones as Two-Face was absolutely awful, just dreadful. It's like Jack Nicholson's Joker, but less funny, less cool, less iconic, less well acted, looks stupid, and also has no relation to its source material. So great job Batman Forever, excellent stuff. I think Val Kilmer is a fine Batman. He's a good Bruce Wayne, and he's an okay Batman, but he's certainly not the worst. I then watched Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. I had never seen this movie before, and I didn't get what everyone else seems to love about this. I thought it was a decent comedy. Oh my god, I'm gonna get torched for this in the comments. I thought it was okay. Maybe I just am not a big Steve Martin guy. Maybe he's just not my type of comedy. Maybe that's what it is. I then watched Happy Gilmore, and after reviewing Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, this might even put the wedge in even further, but I really liked this, and I didn't think I would. I absolutely hate a lot of the bad Adam Sandler movies that I've seen. I think Adam Sandler is great in Uncut Gems. I think Grown Ups 1 is a bit of a guilty pleasure, but he has absolute stinkers. He has had some dreadful, unfunny movies, and that is not what Happy Gilmore is. This had a lot of memorable characters, it had a great soundtrack, and it had a lot of heart, and I think that's what a lot of Sandler's later comedies didn't have. They just felt like, I'm going to get all my mates into a movie, the studio's just going to fund this shit, and somehow we'll try and make it back with lazy writing and fart jokes. This has heart, and I really appreciate it. I think Happy Gilmore is far better than I thought it was going to be. I then watched The Batman. I have done a spoiler review of this movie, so a quick non-spoiler review. If you haven't seen it, I thought this was an excellent thriller. I really liked it. If you like David Fincher movies, if you like Seven, if you like Zodiac, you will appreciate this. I've started reading comics actually, so only Batman ones for now, but I read The Long Halloween, and okay, the comic is a fucking masterpiece. It's amazing, but it's along those lines of Batman, in which it's like detective Batman. It's grounded, it's gritty, it's early doors for Bruce Wayne as Batman, and I really like this take on Batman. I think Pattinson's a great Batman, and everything else you want to know about this movie that I think you can just watch my video, please. Thank you. I then watched Batman Beyond Return of the Joker, and I thought this was mid. I thought it was okay. I thought the animation wasn't great. I really like the Batman Beyond character. Terry McGinnis is a very cool Batman. You know, it's Batman in the future. Bruce Wayne's old, and he's a mentor to Terry McGinnis, and Terry McGinnis is a kind of like an edgy fucking early 20s Batman. In the future though, he's got gadgets. He can fly, and I like the concept of Batman Beyond. But yeah, I just thought the execution, this movie just didn't do it for me. I then watched Barb Wire, another movie I made a video about. So yeah, go watch that. It's a terrible, terrible action movie starring Pamela Anderson. It's absolutely woeful. Right, Fresh is the next movie I saw, 2022 release. I really liked this. It's going to be hard to talk about this without spoiling anything, so I'm going to try my best to just talk about what I already knew going into it from watching a trailer and an interview on Graham Norton. If that's even too much, I'm just going to say it's a rom-com at first, and it's definitely not a rom-com by the end. And I highly recommend it. So it's got Sebastian Stan, and he is really, really, really funny in this. He's like, God, it's so hard to not spoil this. Okay, that's all I'm going to say for people who want absolutely no spoilers. And then with like absolute minimal spoilers, I'll give a quick review. If you watch the trailer, you know that this goes from a rom-com to a horror movie real quick. And I think it's funny, it's witty, it's absolutely nuts. It's a directorial debut for Mimi Cave, I want to say is how you pronounce it. Daisy Edgar Jones of Normal People fame is also fantastic in this. I really liked her in this, and the last 25 minutes are fucking insane. This is a movie I highly recommend. I really enjoyed this. I then watched The Adam Project, which is another 2022 release, a Netflix release. It's the guy who directed Free Guy and the guy who starred in Free Guy, but it's less good than Free Guy in my opinion. It's sci-fi. It kind of nabs some stuff from other stuff. There's lightsabers and there's time travel. It's not very original. It's not like cut and paste. It's not bland or anything, because the kid actor in it, Walker Scobell, or Scobell, however you say it, is a lot of fun in this movie. He's definitely the takeaway from this movie, but other than that, I just thought it was like Free Guy but less good. I then watched Lego Batman, and it's fucking class. I love Lego Batman. It's fun, it's heartfelt, it's got all the shitty villains, like I'm pretty sure Eraser is in there, or Eraserhead, and like Kite Man and Calendar Man. Oh, chef's kiss. One of the best Batman movies. Lego Batman is fantastic. I then watched The Blind Side, and I gotta say, 14-year-old me watching this movie thought, oh, this is a great heartfelt movie. And I don't want to go into anything too political here, but on my most recent watch of The Blind Side, it's got some weird messages. It really has. Like, I realize they're telling a true story, but then they also left out the fact that, okay, this guy wouldn't have made it in the NFL if this white family didn't take him in, I suppose. And they looked after him, and, you know, they steered him on the right direction. But in real life, there was also a black guy who lived in their village who, like, I'm pretty sure tutored him and, like, also took care of him. Like, yeah, he didn't live with him, but the way black people are presented in this movie is a bit weird. They're either drug dealers or like really poor, or like a chef in a restaurant filled with only white people. It's weird. It's got some weird messages. That's not to say that the performances aren't good. Sandra Bullock is really nice in this movie. It's heartfelt, even though I don't know. I don't know if I'm looking into this too much, but I just couldn't help but think that there's some weird messages in this movie. I don't know. He couldn't have done it himself if it wasn't for the white people saving him. And I know I've talked about this before. Briefly, I touched on it with, like, I believe it was Green Book, and there was one other movie that I can't remember. And Dallas Buyers Club, where it's just like a minority and a straight white guy comes in and solves it. But I think this is this is the other end of the spectrum, where I like it. They're like really pushing that narrative, and it was almost uncomfortable. I then watched Batman Mask of the Phantasm, an animated movie that got a cinematic release in the 90s, and Batman fans seem to think this is like a hidden gem. It's a great movie, and I thought it was okay. It's not my favorite animated Batman movie. It's up there, but it's not my favorite. I thought it was good. I kind of felt the ending was a bit lackluster. That's just me. I think the introduction of this new villain, the Phantasm, even though he's not called, or she's not called, or they're not called the Phantasm because it's a murder mystery kind of thing. Throughout the whole movie, it's just in the title, they're called the Phantasm. I think the villain itself is cool. I just felt the ending was a bit meh. It got quite predictable. Halfway through the movie, you knew how it was going to end, and then you were just kind of waiting for that to happen, I feel. Still, though, it is one of my favourite animated Batman movies. I then watched Batman Return of the Caped Crusaders, another animated Batman movie. As you all know, I did a video on it. I really like Batman 66, and this was a fun cash grab is what it was. It was fun. It kind of took the piss a bit out of 66, whilst kind of, you know, it's got modern humor, I suppose, but yeah, like, it is a cash grab, and sometimes cash grabs are fine. If, like, this is a fine cash grab, I suppose. Like, they were doing this because, you know, Batman 66 has become a big meme now. I could be missing something here, but I'm pretty sure this movie exists because of how big a meme Batman 66 has come. It's kind of re-emerged in pop culture, and they kind of went back to it in an animated movie. I think it's fine. I think it is quite funny on occasion, and yeah, like, on a technical standpoint, it's pretty average, but, you know, all the callbacks and stuff do make this a bit more fun than like an average movie. I then watched Birds of Prey. I have mixed feelings on this. One, why isn't this just called Harley Quinn? Because no one really knew who no one outside of big comic book fans knew who the Birds of Prey were before this movie came out. And everyone knows who Harley Quinn is. Like, even people who probably haven't even seen a DC movie know who Harley Quinn is, because she's quite big in pop culture. Just call her Harley Quinn the movie. It's literally what it is. The Birds of Prey literally formed for like the last 20 minutes. Just call it Harley Quinn the movie, honestly. I like some of the villains in this. I like some of the characters in this. Some of the villains, though, Ewan McGregor seemed to have a lot of fun as Black Mask. It's an interesting take on Black Mask, I'll give it that. And, you know, I like Ewan McGregor, and I like him in this movie. I just don't know if that character is Black Mask. Like, give me Ewan McGregor in this movie, no problem. But Black Mask was a random choice for the way he portrayed himself in this, if that makes any sense. Also, Victor Zsasz is in this movie, and it's kind of cool to see he was in a movie. He's a secondary villain, but it's cool to see he got a big screen debut. I then watched The Fallout, which is a 2022 release, I'm gonna call it, because, God, it's so confusing when a movie comes out like in festival season in America in 2021, and then like it gets released in 2022 everywhere else. So is it a 2022 movie? I'm gonna call it one. I really enjoyed this. I thought Jenna Ortega was fantastic. It's funny, a lot of people are like on the fences. Gosh, is this how teenagers even speak these days? What the fuck are they saying in this movie? What is this slang? And then, you know, you have teenagers who are like, yeah, that's how I speak. It's a bit like turned up, like it's quite amplified. They're just throwing slang in there every single sentence, but like, yeah, that is kind of how I speak. It's a strange one. I really like Jenna Ortega in this movie. I think she is a fucking star. I can't wait to see her in other stuff. I can't wait to see the movie X. I wanted to watch that this month, and I didn't get around to it. Fingers crossed I watch it next month. But yes, The Fallout, which is a movie about people who become friends after a school shooting happens in their school, and, you know, they obviously have a traumatic experience. So it's a really interesting dynamic with all their friendships, because none of them really spoke to each other before the shooting, and just given the circumstances of the shooting, they're now friends. And yeah, it's definitely one to watch. I recommend this, The Fallout. I recommend it. I then watched Jackass Forever, and this is just, it's kind of wholesome. It's just wholesome literal dick jokes. There's just like literal penises everywhere in this movie. So, you know, if you don't like that on your screen, then don't watch it, because there's a lot of it. But yeah, it's just nice to see they're having fun, and it was a good Jackass movie. I don't really know what else to say about Jackass Forever. It's fun, it's gross, it's funny. It's Jackass Forever. I liked it. I then watched Little Miss Sunshine, which is a fun, heartfelt, fucking sad on occasion, really, 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 really well written, well acted movie. I love this cast. It's one of my favourite dysfunctional families in cinema that I've seen in a while. Yeah, I'm gonna try and watch a lot of Paul Dano movies now. That's the goal for next month. Cause I really liked him in this. Obviously, I really liked him in The Batman. And yeah, I really like Little Miss Sunshine. It's not one for the kids, but yeah, if you haven't seen Little Miss Sunshine, it tackles some heavy stuff, but it's very heartwarming by the end. I would definitely 110,000 fucking million% recommend Little Miss Sunshine. I really like this movie. Then watched Lost in Translation. I think this movie's directed excellently. It looks great. I don't know. I have friends who love this movie, and I don't know if I loved it. I really, really liked it. I think Bill Murray and Scarlett Johansson are fantastic, and it really tackles, again, some heavy shit. And it's got a really ambiguous, sort of emotionally ambiguous ending, which I really liked. Yeah, overall, Lost in Translation is a fantastic movie. I really liked it. I didn't love it. I don't know why. It's a strange one. Sometimes movies, you watch them and they're fantastic, and it doesn't click. In the same way, for me, Little Miss Sunshine just clicked. I was like, fuck, I can't wait to rewatch this. Whereas Lost in Translation, I was like, this is a fantastic movie. Am I going to rewatch it anytime soon? Probably not. But it was really, really good. Definitely worth the watch. I then watched Goal. Goal is a better movie than I remember it being. Even as a kid, I thought Goal was a football movie, and the acting's not good. Ugh. This is 8-year-old me. But no, Goal is class. Goal is a sensation. Well, okay. Whoa. Let me dial that back a bit. Goal for a football movie is very good. It is probably the best football movie about that centers on a player, because there's good football movies that center around managers, and then there's great football documentaries, but I think this is the best one to center around an individual player. Sure, not all the writing's great. Sure, not all the football stuff is great. There's only one team near Newcastle because it's a religion there. What the fuck about Sunderland and Middlesbrough? How do you just forget those two massive clubs? They're not the only club in Newcastle. There's literally three. Middlesbrough's just outside, but I'm pretty sure they say Newcastle's the only big club in the northeast. That's a fucking lie. That's not true. Come on. Justice for Sunderland and Middlesbrough. But yeah, I think Goal is actually a far better movie than I remember it being. I really enjoyed this. I thought it's probably a tad long at the start. I think the first act does drag a bit, but yeah, the second and third act is wholesome stuff. And that last bit where he finds out that his dad watched him play against Fulham, it actually is really nice. It's just, that line will always be iconic because of how strangely it's delivered, but it actually is quite heartwarming. I then watched Boiling Point, a one-take drama that's really, really, really stressful in the kitchen and in the restaurant, starring Stephen Graham. This is very good. It's on Netflix. I definitely recommend it. It's all in one take. It's 94 minutes, I think. It's short enough. And yeah, it's about the restaurant industry. Stephen Graham gives a fantastic performance as the head chef. We find out some sad stuff. It's really realistic as to what a stressful shift in a restaurant looks like. Although it's probably a couple of months worth of restaurant drama packed into one shift. But, this is all stuff that happens in restaurants. So, yeah, I think this is one of the best restaurant kind of movies that I've seen. I haven't seen Chef yet. If you liked Chef, let me know, because I might give it a watch. I really like Jon Favreau. So I might give Chef a watch sometime soon. But yeah, it's one of the best restaurant-based movies. That old subgenre. I then watched Mike Bassett, England Manager. This is a very funny movie. There's so much stuff in here that made me laugh out loud, and then there's so much stuff where I'm like, they are not fleshing these characters out enough. It's a mockumentary about what would happen if your stereotypical Brexit 442 Sean Dyche, Roy Hodgson, Sam Allardyce got the England job, but when he was in League One, he's in the 3rd division of English football, and he gets the England job because no one wants it. Yeah, it is a funny mockumentary. I really liked it. I just felt it could definitely have been longer. And Pele's inclusion in this is so funny. I really like the way they use Pele in this. It's very funny. Even Pele has a post-credit scene, and it's funny. I then watched Alien sci-fi classic. The first one, it's a bit more of a horror movie. It's very tense. It's much more tense than its sequel, I feel. I feel like they're two very different movies because they're directed by two very different directors. Alien is directed by Ridley Scott. It's obviously just set on this one ship. It's very claustrophobic. People are just, getting offed by the xenomorph, and it's fucking scary. That cat kept fucking scaring me, man. I kept falling for the cat jumping out. I don't know why. But yeah, Alien is a great movie. It's one of the best sci-fi movies. It's probably the best sci-fi horror movie ever. It's fantastic. Sure, it's... No, I have to say, it still looks great, actually. I was going to say something there, but that's actually about Aliens, the sequel. No, Alien itself, I think, is aged pretty well. Sure, the effects were in, 1979, so they are going to date a little bit. But I watched this on Disney Plus, so it was in HD, and it looks pretty damn good in HD. Now, obviously, then I watched Aliens, and bar 3 green screen shots where the ship is flying, this is fucking perfect. This movie is amazing. It's much more action based. It feels much more like Terminator 2. I don't know, because it's directed by James Cameron. I think I meant to say there that it feels much more like a James Cameron movie than Alien did. I'm not making a lot of sense here. Alien is definitely a Ridley Scott movie, and Aliens is definitely a James Cameron movie. This is a very James Cameron movie, and I mean that in a good way. James Cameron is an excellent filmmaker. What he does with these 17 Avatar sequels, I don't know, but as it stands, James Cameron is a fantastic filmmaker. I really like Aliens. I think the child actor, I think this is her only ever movie. I could not wrap my head around what accent she has. I think it's British but mixed with American. I thought it was South African at one point. She's got an out there accent. I think Sigourney Weaver in both of these movies is fantastic. She's a fucking badass. She's so cool. And yeah, I really like Aliens. I'm not sure which one I prefer. I think I prefer Aliens, but yeah, it's much more action sci-fi, whereas the first one's horror sci-fi. Not to say that there's there's a lot of tension in this movie, but it's much more based on, I suppose, yeah, the military side of this distant enough future, actually, at this point, yeah. But yeah, I really liked Aliens. And finally, the last movie I watched was Turning Red. Look at me go. I'm watching an animated Pixar movie, or Disney movie. Fuck, I think it's both, actually. But yes, it's Disney and Pixar. And yeah, I thought it was kind of average. But yeah, I think they tackled some cool stuff. There's definitely some heart in the making of this. It's nice when they do something about a culture that I personally don't know a lot about, because then, even for me, because obviously it's targeted at kids, but even for me, it's almost like an educational kind of movie, because, I wouldn't know a lot about the culture that this movie is based upon, with this girl who turns into a gigantic red panda whenever she shows too much emotion. Yeah, I'm just sorry to spoil a little bit of it, but she kind of pimps out the red panda. She's selling pictures and stuff of her turning into a red panda to afford tickets to a concert, and that's exactly what I would fucking do. And I don't know why they was that meant to be a bad thing? I don't know. That's so what I would do if I had the ability to just turn into a red panda. I'd be going on fucking Twitch and just turning onto a red panda and getting people to pay me to do it, because there is money to be made in being able to turn into a red panda. I think she did the right thing she was entrepreneurial, I feel. But yeah, it's an okay movie. I thought it was a bit long. It's like over 100 minutes, and it feels that for me. But yeah, I like that I learned some stuff in this movie. But yeah, it's still mid to lower tier Pixar for me. It certainly didn't resonate with me in the same way that like a Monsters Inc. or a Toy Story did, or an Incredibles, or an Nemo. Now, thank you very much for watching, everybody. I think I'm going to start doing like top 10s, top 8s, top 9s, whatever, on movies now a bit, because I have a couple of scripts written. I just don't want to throw them all out in one big block. I don't want to just release like 5 top 10s in a row. So yeah, I would expect my next video to be a top 10, unless there's anything I personally want to make a video about before that. But yeah, thank you very much for watching, and if there's any of these movies you've seen, comment what you thought of them. If there's any that you want to know anything more about, feel free to ask in the comment section. I'll let you know my opinions even further. There's only so much I can say in these videos without spoiling the movies, because I do want these videos to be spoiler free. Right, thank you very much, and I'll see you soon. Cheers.